What's up, guys? This is Joe Hatagwa from Authentic African. And if you want to know why I am happy I left Africa to move to America, then this is the video for you. All right. We were having some technical difficulties, but we are back. We're back, guys. I'm live. As you can see, I'm live from a mobile device. Let's see if I turn it this way, if this is a little bit easier. This is a little bit better. Let's do this. Man, it's been exactly 2 weeks to the day that I moved from West Africa to the United States. I'm in Denver, Colorado right now, preparing for a conference, and there's a lot to catch you up on. I was going to say major life update. I was going to say why I'm happy I left Africa, and I decided to go with why I'm happy I left Africa because there's so much to unpack and so much to tell you that has happened in the 2 months since I've come back to the United States. There's been a lot of introspection, a lot of planning, a lot of challenges. But before we get into all of that, if you do like this video, you do happen to like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, make sure you like, comment, do all of those things. And also share this with some other people that you know who have ever considered moving to West Africa or are from the continent of Africa and want to move to the United States. This has been a game-changing experience for me, the whole thing. The almost 4 years living on the continent, the 2 months being back, the lack of preparation I did before I moved. My entire life over the last 5 years has been kind of a whirlwind, moved in all kinds of different directions. And so now we're a little bit more stable, but there's a lot of work to do. So first of all, before we move any further, can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up so I know you can hear me, and let me know where you're watching from. I completely neglected to add my Instagram, so I think I'm gonna have to try to go live on Instagram as well if I can. So you guys are gonna have to bear with me a little bit. But in the meantime, let me know that you can hear me. I see Royal Bloodline is here. Shout out to Royal Bloodline. But can you guys give me a thumbs up to let me know that you guys can hear me? Can you guys hear me? I need to know if you guys can hear me. I think we got a thumbs up from, okay, Marissa Walker says you can hear me. Cool. Royal Bloodline says you're watching from Texas. Okay. Marissa's watching from Jacksonville, Florida. You know, Marissa, I was just in Jacksonville, actually. Next time I go to Jacksonville, I have to do some kind of meet and greet. Because at this point, there's so many people in Jacksonville that watch the content. There's so many Sierra Leoneans in Jacksonville. I definitely need to meet with folks. All right, Tim Black is here, and Tim Black says you can hear me too. Great. Just give me a second while I work to get my Instagram up and live as well. There's, like I said, there's a lot to talk about. I mean, my life over the last 2 months has been kind of crazy. I landed in New York, came to New York to kind of just get myself together, figure some things out. And then from there, I had to go to Jacksonville, Florida to deal with some things. And then came back to New York for a little less than a week. And then now I'm in Denver, Colorado, for this conference. And I'll be back in New York in a few days. And it's just been like constant movement, just a lot of stuff going on. And, these are all good things, they're positive things. And so, I can tell you what they are and why they've been positive. Well, many of the things are positive. Let's say that. I mean, there's some things happening family wise that are not ideal. And that's a conversation for another time. But at the very least, right now, generally positive things are happening now that I'm here on the continent of North America and I've left Africa. I at one point in time said I was never going to leave Africa. Like that was what I said. When I moved, it was a permanent move. I wasn't planning to come back. In fact, I was trying to figure out how to get my stuff out of storage and all the way to me in Sierra Leone. In fact, I had on my way to Africa, I had gone into storage and grabbed a bunch of stuff. and there was like a ton of clothes, paintings, carvings, bunch of that stuff had shipped to a couple different places. And the clothes I had them in New York. And prior to leaving, I left about 3 different bags of winter clothes there. But I thought, you know what, I'm never moving back to the United States. So let me bring my winter clothes with me to West Africa, because whenever I'm leaving from West Africa to go to a cold place, I can take those, if I'm going to visit to travel somewhere cold, I can just wear those clothes and travel there. I won't be coming to my hub in New York. And over the last 8 months or so, you guys know, if you guys have been following, that story has changed, right? My ideas about where I want to live and what I want to do have changed dramatically in the last let's say 8 months or so. Sorry to keep changing the orientation on you guys. It's really challenging to get this to sit right. Okay, perfect. Now we're better because now I can see you over there and I can work to get things live over here. Um, so first things first, you guys have really been okay. Well, no, let me just continue to just let everybody know what's up. So who's here. So watching from Jonesboro, Georgia, Tim Black. Um, Tim Black is asking, who's taking care of your house in Sierra Leone? It's a good question. So, before I get into why we're here, right? Because people are still joining and I still gotta have to go live on Instagram. Let me be very clear that before I left, I spent a significant amount of time making sure that things were in place when I left. So I have a caretaker living on the property right now who's always been there since before the house even started, the guest house even started, in the main house, which is now being worked on now. He was always there. He has been there since May of 2020. The land was purchased at the end of 2019, early 2020. He moved in May of 2020. The first thing we did, he moved in, I guess, in 2021, because we had to spend a significant amount of time evicting the tenants. No, it's 2020. He moved in 2020. That's right. So I bought the land yeah, that's right. Bought the land end of 2018, early 2019. Spent that year having to evict the tenants and tearing down the boros, which is a board house, the houses that were built there. And so immediately we built a pambodi, which is basically a tin house with a storage unit attached to it. And that is where the caretaker was living as of May or June 2020. We broke ground to start building later that year, and then we continued the process of building. So that person has been there the entire time. Now, he is someone who is a close family associate, definitely someone who frustrates me frequently, we'll put it that way. But he's been with the family for a really long time. He has been a driver for different family members. He's been a mechanic for my cousin. And so he's been close to the family for a really long time. We decided that it would be mutually beneficial that he doesn't have to pay rent um to stay on the property to watch the property. So anytime we have builders there that are building, contractors doing their thing, the workers that are working for them, just to report what's going on, right? Usage of materials. His wife also stays there as well. So usage of materials, anything pertaining to just the health of the land itself, right? Ensuring that nothing negative is happening. Um, I will say that there has been some disappointments. Not everything that he has said he was going to do, he's done. And when I'm there, I have to constantly tell him to do things. This is just the nature of people you have working for you in Sierra Leone. But even from remotely, it makes it even more difficult, because at least when I was there, I could call him direct call and just be like, "Hey, you're not answering the phone. What's going on?" Or I could walk over to the Pambodi and ask his wife, where is he, or ask him what's going on, why isn't this done, and I can constantly remind him over and over again. Being here, I got a bunch of stuff going on, so I can't always remember every single day to remind him. Not to mention there's other work happening elsewhere. At the same time, we just put beacons up around the 5 acres of land that we have, and then also we're now going to be planting trees to kind of create a fence around that land. And so there are a lot of things, a lot of moving pieces happening from a distance while I'm here. Luckily for me, again, I have people that we have in the family, people that we know that are operating on my behalf on the ground there. And so that ensures that, I'm not, operating completely blind. I mean, at the end of the day, it's better that um I'm there to make sure everything is happening as it should. Um, but anyway, so let's talk about why I am happy I'm here, because that's why you guys all came here, right? You guys wanted to know. I mean, I said I'm happy I'm in America, and I told you guys I'm going to tell you why I'm happy and I'm in America, and I think you might find it interesting why I'm happy I'm here. Number one, you know, the main reason why I'm happy I'm here is because it forced me to get more on top of what I'm doing for this brand and for you all, right? When I was in Africa, you guys know there were a lot of challenges happening. So I can make a lot of excuses. The internet's down, it's hard to upload videos. The my laptop crashed, so when there were gaps in putting out content, or maybe I went live and didn't really have much to talk about that day, didn't put a lot of effort or energy into it, I could always blame that on the circumstances around me, and you guys would be understanding, right? Well, now that I'm here, I don't have those excuses anymore, right? Obviously, the internet works pretty well. Um, you know, I uh, I don't have issues with the power going out, and I have other things working in my favor that are really allowing me to be able to maximize the number of people I have working for me to get things out. And so, when I say I'm happy that I'm here, it really is because it's forced me to do more with this platform. It's forced me to think about how I want this thing to look moving forward. And so, over the last 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, you guys may have noticed that we've had guests on. So, about three weeks ago, we had none other than Alita Israel, right? Who apparently is a controversial figure. It's not to me, but apparently to people out there. What I've discovered is there's been some slander on her name. Some people saying that she hasn't lived up to what people say she hasn't lived up to. But from all accounts and services, all accounts and records that I've seen, she has, to everybody that she's been working with. There were people in my comments saying that I should not have interviewed her, that but like, if everything that she says on our lives that we've done, the two lives that we've done, the live streams we've done, and I've talked to her separately, is that Africa is not easy, and you have to be patient. And I think what happens is when people in America are working through someone who's American, they expect things to work at an American speed. And when they don't, they get upset at the American instead of understanding how things work in Ghana. And so when things don't move at the speed in which they like, they get upset. She's refunded people money. She definitely is a type A personality and can be abrupt in her communication. But that's just like, if you want someone who's going to help you do what she's doing, that's the kind of personality the person's going to have, right? And so it's not as if so I've heard all kinds of crazy things, and it's interesting to hear all those things when you meet the person, you have an experience with someone, and you understand how they communicate. I mean, she's a Chicagoan who's a type A personality who's helped over 75 people get land in Ghana. She got her citizenship after 2 years. If she was a scam artist and all of that, she wouldn't have been able to do that. Like, and these people all have been able to keep their land. So I think these people that were in my comments complaining to me about interviewing her, I thought that was crazy. So anyway, of course I'm going to interview someone like her. She's actually doing the work. She's doing the thing that I am saying this platform is about: investing and buying land, moving and or visiting the continent of Africa. Um, so I'm happy that you guys have asked me to start interviewing folks, and she was one of the names that came up and almost immediately as someone to interview because of her, because of her what she's been doing so far. And so to me, it made sense, and I think I'm glad that I was able to have her on and for her to be able to tell her story. So I do want to see now though. Are we streaming on Instagram yet? Are we streaming on Instagram yet? Let's see. Um, so there's some other comments. Let me see what other people are saying. Um, so Royal Bloodline says, yes, she doesn't deliver. Um, are you sure she doesn't deliver? Are you sure she doesn't deliver? Or you're saying that's understandable, but she's not updating the paying customer. So let me address that to make sure that people understand what is happening there, because she actually did express to me that you know a lot of times she doesn't get responses, and she also decided not to take on more people so she can help everybody that she's had. So I'm sure what happened is it got a little bit overwhelming because it's like 50 people who are in the properties that she's managing and another 25 people she's helped get land. But Royal Bloodline saying something about egotistical and rude when she receives money. I think to be honest with you, Royal Bloodline, I think a lot of that has to be people's perception of what happens, because she has that same type A, doesn't waste time personality, whether or not she has your money. Like, I've done conversations with her and I just know she's a type A personality, and she's someone who doesn't add like flowery language and all the extras. So maybe for you guys it might have felt different because once you gave money, you see it. Um, you're saying people are filing class action lawsuit. I don't know. I mean, look, if there's something to file a class action lawsuit over, I guess that makes sense. But to me, if she's delivered on the land and the promises that she said, I don't really understand what the lawsuit can be about. But maybe what we can do is we can have Alita on, and people who are in the process of filing these class action lawsuits on, so we can hear where things have gone wrong. Because from what I've seen, she's helped over 50 people buy land, and others who haven't bought land have gotten full refunds. So you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I understand the case to be. But anyway, my point was, the reason why I'm even happy to be here is because it has forced me to do more interviews with people like her. Also, a week and a half ago, I did an interview, or like a week ago, excuse me, I did the interview with Shaka Bars. You guys might be familiar with him from his work he does on the Congo. He travels there frequently. So those are the kinds of interviews that you guys can expect to see when it comes to this platform. This week I wasn't able to get anybody on, but just expect that you'll be hearing from people who made the decision that I made, but who are still there. Or you'll find people who've made the decision that I made and are doing what I'm doing, who are going back and forth now. I had to go there to set a foundation. I'm going back and forth, and I will be moving back there full time for sure. But as we are today, I'm in the process now of just kind of setting up, the platform to really be able to move back full time and not have any of the challenges or many of the challenges that I had. Um, Now, let me say this. The other reason why I'm happy that I moved is in terms of finances and being able to, invest in what I've been doing in Africa. You know, I started this grassroots movement around authentic African, I guess if you want to call it that, in 2019. It was completely different. It was really just about this e-commerce website, and I was just going to be focused on sharing information about Africa, showing Africa in a different light. It evolved over time to being about, connecting Africa and the diaspora and really telling the stories of these two groups and helping people understand each other better. And then eventually, beyond that, it got to, how else can we do more than just get people to understand each other better? Let's do consulting to help people move. Let's find people investment vehicles in terms of real estate. Let me introduce people to different people locally. And that's really what the platform has been about, is really trying to bring these two groups of people together. And so far, I think we've been successful in doing so. Um, you guys have really done a great job of being communicative and telling me what you guys want to see and who you guys want to hear from. And so that's what I want to do again, is ask you guys, if you're watching this as a replay or if you're watching this live, I want you to write in the comments, who do you want me to interview? Who has been on the continent that you want to know more about? Who do you want me to interview, and what do you want me to ask them? There are a ton of people who've moved to the continent, and their stories are all unique. Some of them overlap, some of them are similar, but they're all unique in their own way. They got to that decision in a different way. And if you guys might remember, when I first moved to Ghana, I was interviewing a lot of content creators in Ghana, and I was doing that, but I was editing those interviews and putting those interviews out. Now I'd like to do that again, but now I'll do it remotely. I'll do it while I go live, and you'll have those same kinds of conversations with those different people. So much like what we did with Alita, what we did with Shaka Bars last week, we're going to do more interviews like that. We got people who are living in Burkina Faso. We got people who are living in Uganda. We got people who are living in Kenya, South Africa, Ghana, Nigeria. And over time, I want to continue to use this particular live to tell those stories. I'll also continue to update you on what I'm doing and what I've been having going on in my life. You know what? That's a good one. So I interviewed Hayford from Web Nation Africa. Um, so Web Nation Africa, Hayford, I interviewed him. He interviewed me, and I interviewed him. That interview actually got lost on my laptop that crashed. So I'm working to when I get back to New York, I have to work to get that one back. But these are all good recommendations. So Go Black to Africa, you said. Mark Meets Africa. Hayford. Well, Hayford is already a Ghanaian though, but he did go to college. I think if I remember correctly, he did go to college um, in China, but then moved back to Ghana. Um, these are all good recommendations. It's not allowing me to copy and paste them. So go Black to Africa. Mark Meets Africa. Web Nation. OJ Jackson. Lady Visionary. What about Gia the House Goddess, who's working on doing the gold mining or mining in Namibia? I think it is, right? Um, I see Ruth. Is Ruth Asare in Ghana? Is she from the outside? Okay, so O'Shea. Somebody said that Ruth Rush. It's Rush. Okay, Rush, not Ruth. Okay, some good ideas here. Um, so T Toke says, "Yo, what's up, Joe?" Joe, by the way, is spelled Joe. I know it doesn't seem like it would be because my name is Joannis and not Joseph, but Joseph also doesn't have an E right after the O either. So just like Joseph is spelled Joe, my Joe is spelled Joe as well. Um, so that's the way I spell it. But yes, so can I reach out about services for getting driver's license number in Sierra Leone? Yes, T Tokes or Tokes. You can. What I think you should do is here's what I recommend you do. Email me. My email will be on the screen in just 2 seconds. Um, there we go. It should be there shortly. There we go. AuthenticAfricanLife@gmail.com. Shoot me an email, and I will either set up a call with you to talk you through the process, or we can find another way that I can get you in touch with the proper authorities and figures that can get you what you need and the process that's involved. But I think it would be good for us to have a discussion first. So I'll walk you through that. Okay, so there's Marianne Allen, you guys are saying, in Liberia that I should talk to. Mary Ann Allen. Okay. You guys give me some good names. Remember, these should be folks that have moved to the continent, right? We're looking for folks who have lived in the West somewhere and have moved to the continent. We want to tell those folks stories. I mean, other folks, we want to tell their stories as well. But if they've already lived there and they grew up there, that's a different kind of story. I think I'll edit those, and especially those who are entrepreneurs and have businesses. I have a whole separate segment that I'll do about them. I may do those interviews as well here on the platform too. Um, I just want to tell the stories of those who made the move, because that was really what this platform had been like for those of you who have been following, right? That's what most of you had been wanting to see. Um, so so yeah, so those are the main reasons why I'm happy that I moved. It's given me perspective. Now I have a full-time job here now as well in the States, which has made me very, very busy. This is why I'm even here in Denver, Colorado to begin with. I have a conference that I'm attending on streaming TV. It's called a Stream TV conference. So I'm here in Denver, Colorado for this conference. I will be meeting with prospective clients. I'll be meeting with current clients. I'll be meeting my co-workers. So this should be interesting. It's a minority-run business that I work for, which is really exciting because I think it's the first time I've ever worked for a company outside of Africa where the it's minority run. And that's great for so many different things, right? There are businesses that have made commitments to spending funding and advertising on minority run businesses. It aligns with who I am and what I do, what I'm about, right? And also at the same time, it is it just allows me to be in a place where people who are first generation Americans who understand uh, what's going on in my world, in my life, can be better, um, supportive of everything that I'm doing. All right. So Tituk said he's following me on IG. Great. Glad that you're following both on Instagram and on YouTube. By the way, those of you who aren't already following on Instagram and who aren't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe on YouTube at Authentic African. You can see the logo here, right? That's what the logo looks like. It looks like this across all platforms. And if you are if you're also on Instagram and not subscribe or not following, follow on Instagram. It's authentic_African, and you'll see this logo. So yeah, thanks for the follow. Okay, so another one is Seeking God Films says they want to see the body balance media. Okay. Okay. Marissa says she wants to see uh Traveler Kimberly. Oh, by the way, you guys, I need your help reaching out to these folks. Don't just tell me you want me to talk to them. If you know them, if you've communicated with them in any way, make sure you shoot them a note and let them know there's this other person you follow, their platform, you think you'd be great, to interview on the channel, because it does sometimes require a little bit of help from you folks to get those people to like respond to emails and stuff. They're not always as responsive as you might think. So I'd love your help if you guys can help me get those people on the line. It seems that I may have lost all the names that you guys gave me as I was typing them out. But anyway, we're gonna watch the replay. You guys can add those. You guys can add those names in the replay. Um, Catherine saying, "Congrats on the new job." Thank you, appreciate it. Uh, yeah, and so by the way, were you guys able to watch the interview with Shaka Bars? Did you guys get a chance to see that? Because unfortunately, it did not get the numbers in terms of like the normal viewership that we would have expected. I mean, he went through the history of the Congo, what's happening right now. He talked about like there's so much nuance in that interview because most people when you hear about the Congo, it's just like all eyes are on the Congo, that AI photo, or People are just saying like Congo, Congo. They just write it, but you don't really know what's happening. There are millions of people displaced and millions more being displaced continuously. Not only that, the reason for the displacement is there's so much fighting over the natural minerals and resources that the people who are really fighting for it, the people on the ground fighting, don't even get a chance to even keep those minerals or resources. They're leaving the country, going through Rwanda and through other places to enriching other folks that are not people from the DRC. And it's the devices that we use. Every device that you use that uses a lithium ion battery, which is all the devices, the cobalt, coltan, tin, all of that comes from the Congo. Most of it comes from there. So let's look at it this way. You think about a country like Saudi Arabia, right, and how much wealth Saudi Arabia has. When they discovered they had oil, they were already a sovereign state, and they were a sovereign state with a king, and they were operating in their own system. And so they built that wealth internally within their own country. Libya was the same way before the United States intervened. Unfortunately, for the rest of the continent of Africa and many other places around the world, um, there have been non-African actors involved in the extraction of those natural resources. And what happens in Africa is we extract the resources from the ground, it gets refined elsewhere, and then we buy it back in a finished product form. Do you know how many people have iPhone 15s in Sierra Leone? iPhone 13, 14, 15 in Ghana and Nigeria? People who that stuff goes leaves the Congo, goes elsewhere, comes back. Remember, I mentioned this to you guys before. I bought chocolate in the airport in Ghana. Um, that it was called Swiss chocolate, but the cocoa came from Ghana, went to Switzerland, got refined, put into bars. They shipped it back to Sierra Leone. I'm buying that in the airport. How crazy is that? And so that's how Africa has been. And so we got to see that change, and that's what this platform is about. So anyway, guys, I think you guys have already said it all. You've told me who you guys want me to interview. I'm gonna ask you guys again to help me get these people on the phone. Whether that's you email them, you DM them, you let them know that I'm trying to get in touch with them. Um, because I really would like to ensure that we're giving you guys what you're asking for, right? What you're looking for. And this is also good for me because as I move around the continent, I think I want to do a better job of connecting with those folks who've made the move. Do you guys want to hear again from Masa in Kenya? It's been a long time since they've been on the platform. They now started a podcast called The Ghana Gamble, and they've also started other businesses where they're in the process of developing land in Ghana. We're working with a big real estate developer there that they were doing the Ghana Gamble with, and so they've done a really good job of like diversifying their interests on the continent too. So you definitely want to check them out. And Kenya is also doing a travel business in Ghana as well. So travel business and party planning and all of that. So if you want to celebrate your birthday in Ghana or you want to do a tour in Ghana, Kenya is also doing that. So maybe we can get them back on again because they were so kind enough to allow me to stay with them at their house in Ghana. And I went live with them in last October. And a big part of the decision to move actually had to do with me being staying at their place and just seeing, where I had deficiencies and what I had been doing with my house building process and my project. Um, so yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to, having them back on and telling their stories if you guys want. So, all right, let's see. So Barry is saying the Woe Now family standing in New Orleans. Okay. Juanita Maya. Oh, wait, so there's somebody named Juanita Maya, or are you talking about Wode Maya? Because I don't know Juanita Maya, but I can put that on my list of people for sure. Juanita Maya, if that's what you're talking about. Is it Juanita or Jonita Maya? Sorry, Jonita Maya. Okay. Who else? Who else? Um, OJ Jackson, you said is very receptive. Okay. Well, not family, as you said. Okay, cool. So we'll work on getting those guys. Anybody else or anything else? Any other questions you guys have for me? I haven't done the Ask Me Anything segment in a long time. I used to do it all the time. Like, ask me anything. You got any questions? Uh, any questions for me before we bring this thing to a close? I have a team dinner today that I have to go to, so I have to be prepared to leave for that shortly. And I still got a bunch of work to do too. So, but yeah, let me know if you guys have any more questions for me. I actually kind of like this better. It seems clearer on my phone than it is on my laptop, right? What do you guys think? Does it seem more clear? How's the audio too? Because I'm using AirPods. These AirPods. Is the audio good? I mean, I know I'm asking you about 36 minutes into the live, but I want to know because I am considering making some adjustments and changes as to how I go live moving forward. I've been going live mostly from this loaner laptop that I had been using. This so after my laptop crashed, that's kind of meta. But after my laptop crashed, I started using. I acquired this laptop while I was waiting for my other laptop to be fixed. But this is definitely an older machine, and so it is on the fritz. And so I need to get my other laptop back. It was a $4,000 device, which is why I'm so keen on fixing it because I spent a significant amount of money back in 2020 to get that laptop, top of the line, and it crashed because I plugged it in directly to, well, not directly into the wall in Sierra Leone, but I plugged it into something that didn't have a transformer attached to it. Anyway, Solo Her says, can you see my questions? No, Solo Her. This is the only question of yours that I can see. Okay, you say O'Shea from Kigenda is the only thing I saw that you sent. Was there any other questions you were asking, Solo Her? I didn't see your questions before. You can retype them though if you can, please. Okay, there's a bunch of questions now that are finally just coming in. So here we go. Um, Marissa Walker saying, yes, why did you leave? Now, I do have a whole live on why I left Africa. So I do recommend you go back and watch the live that I did on why I left Africa. But the basic answer to that is that I needed to raise more funds to continue the building process at the speed in which I need to build. I also am utilizing more funds to work on this platform to build all the different things that I want to do to help more Africans. So the Authentic African e-commerce store is relaunching next month. Merch is launching next month. And it did require me to be hands-on in person near the suppliers and all of the different people who were involved in this process so that I can do more. And it's going to have a cost associated with it that frankly, the business that I had in Africa was just not able to cover. And so that was like high level. That's the reason. There are many more reasons, but like I think that's the easiest way to put it. Um, Barry Payton Harambe says, "Are you Mende?" Yes, my father is from the Mende tribe. Well, long story, but basically yes. I mean that's the easiest way to describe it. Yes. Um, Marissa Walker says, "Why you're not working on the continent instead of returning?" So working on the continent, which I did talk about by the way in that other live. So if you watch it, you'll get a chance to see. But just the pay. I mean, if I'm going to be frank with you, I was a department head. I was head of advertising at Jumia in Ghana, and they were stretching to pay me. Was it $30,000 a year? $30,000 a year, something like that, or maybe it was even 40,000. But with taxes and everything, it can end up being much less. But that is less than I got paid in any job I had in my entire career since graduating college. In fact, I think, yeah, Yeah, even the year that I went through the the financial crisis, I started doing some consulting work, and even that paid me more. And I did that halfway through the year, more than what it paid me to be working at Jumia. And that's because I was working in advertising and I was working in Ghana. Now, if I had a different skill set, let's say I was in real estate, or let's say I had a business that mainly dealt with, non-indigenous Africans and people who are moving to the continent, and you have products that you can charge significant amount of money for, then I might have been able to be able to do what I'm trying to do now. However, the career that I had prior to moving to the continent of Africa pays me multitudes more than what I was able to do in Africa. But while I am here in the States, because I'm not staying here in the States forever. I'm just pivoting while I'm in the States. While I'm here, I'm prepping so that when I go back, I have the funds to continue to do the things that I'm doing while I'm there and the way that I'm doing them here. But I'll be able to be more hands-on. I'll be able to buy more land. I'll be able to develop on more land, farming, building buildings, building rentals, and changing careers, frankly, to the world of venture capital. All of that is part of this process. The next couple of years while I'm here, however long that's going to be, 2 years, 1 year, 3 years, whatever that looks like, everything I'm doing here is preparing me to move back. If you've watched this channel for the last year and a half, almost weekly, I would give advice to people about what they should do before they decide to move, because I was not given that advice. And although it was the best decision I ever made, uh, I would have made the decision under different circumstances, or I would have done the decision differently had I known what I know now, right? I'm not saying I would, if I can go back and change it, I would change it at all, because every experience that I had, everybody I met, it was everything I needed to have to be at this point in time in my life, and where I am right now. But for sure, um, I would have made different decisions before moving, like getting my stuff out of storage, or like, maybe covering some other things first, not leaving my job that I left 12 months before moving. There's a number of different things that I would have done differently, knowing what I know now. But I'm so glad I did leave. But I hope that answers your question to a degree. I would say go back and watch that video. I did two lives on it. I did one why I'm happy to be leaving, and I did another one, major update, I'm leaving Africa. And those two are the most viewed lives that I've ever done, live streams, because I think people thought I was trolling, but I was serious. But if you go back and watch them, I think that will really help you understand some of these questions that you're asking, in more detail, because I did whole hour long lives about them. So I for sure would recommend going back and watching those. Um, Solo her. I still haven't seen your other questions though. So if you do have any other specific questions, definitely type them in the chat and I will answer them. Do you plan to return permanently to the continent? Yes, yes, I do. Absolutely. Um, Barry Payton said, I came in late, misunderstood the topic. Well, not family is how we greet in New Orleans. Oh, okay, 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 okay. Sorry, I don't know too many people from New Orleans. Only people who I know from New Orleans are people who make music from New Orleans, like people from Baton Rouge, like Bootsy, or people from. So it's not. I'm talking about Louisiana. Sorry, not New Orleans. Louisiana in general. Um, so yeah, I'm not always as familiar with the greetings. I know the greetings from Chicago and Detroit though. What up though? Or what up, Joe? Because that's what they do in those two cities. Anyway, we were way down. Okay, okay. So Solar Her says, "Oh, I noticed you were reading other people's stuff, but I can't see those people in the chat. So I thought I was blocked by YouTube from chat. You are not blocked by YouTube from chat. I did read one of your questions before, because, or not even one of your questions, one of your answers, you were saying you were the one who said O'Shea from Kigenda, right? So I did see your question. Well, I didn't see your questions, but I saw that. So I don't know if your other questions, I'm not sure if they just didn't come through, because I don't see your other questions. So you maybe used words or phrases that YouTube automatically flags. I don't have automatic flags on mine, but I've heard that that happens before. So some people have said things that YouTube flags. So maybe it's what questions you're asking. Barry Payton says, "Do you have a good relationships with Temne people?" I know some Temne people. I mean, like in terms of like chiefs, things like that. No, I don't know any chiefs. But I know people who are Temne. Yeah, I mean, I have good relationships with people across all the major tribes in Sierra Leone, because I know so many people that are there. But if we're talking about chiefs and things like that, I have people who know the chiefs who I could put you in touch with if you have questions or want to get to know those people in particular. But I don't have a direct relationship with people who are senior level in those tribes. So I hope that answers your question. But if you want to know more, feel free to email me. We can set something up. Okay. Marissa Walker says, then why did you decide to build in Sierra Leone versus Ghana? I'm a new subscriber. Um, and I don't know if I talked about this. So this actually, I may have kind of talked about it, but I never did a specific live about it. So the reason why I decided to build in Sierra Leone versus Ghana is because it was the place that I was able to buy land fastest. So I bought land in Sierra Leone before I had even been to Ghana, because I got my dual citizenship in 2018 with Sierra Leone. I opened a bank account, dual citizenship, and started a business. Right, I did the whole process of getting my business registered in Sierra Leone. So I did all of that, and almost over a year later was when I went to Ghana for the first time for like 4 or 5 days. And so yeah, so I had already bought the land, and I bought more land because of the amount that I could get for the price that I could get it for. So that is why I bought land in Ghana instead. I mean, sorry, in Sierra Leone instead of Ghana. But I do plan to buy land in Sierra Leone. In fact, when I go in August, my plan is to look at some land and see if I can start putting aside some money to make a purchase. So yeah, DR says, with your experience now, how much in cash or equivalent would you say minimum for setting up a reasonable business and for living for a year before the business kicks in? Let me just be clear. I think it's going to take a lot longer than a year before any business kicks in. Now, it all depends on the business, but most businesses take 5 to 10 years to really get to a place where you can make a living off it anywhere in the world. I don't think it changes when you get to the continent of Africa. Now, sometimes some businesses can be accelerated depending on your network of people that you know here in America who are also going there. So, for example, there is someone who I met who has a real estate development business. And because of his relationships in the United States, he's built relationships with folks who are moving to the continent of Africa, who are high net worth individuals who are going to be able to buy land from him and build on the land that he's in. And he has people that can rent from him. So that business actually can make him money within a year, because all he has to do is he's already bought the land, he's building. Once the buildings are built, he has people that are already going to generate revenue for him. But in general, starting a business from scratch, it takes years to get off the ground. So I would not ever expect that you're going to start a business and then within 1 year, revenue starts kicking in. You'll get revenue, but profit is another thing. And it also depends on the country that you're in. If you're doing business in Sierra Leone, as I've mentioned on other lives, you have to have contingency plans in place. So, like, you have to have contingency plans for light, because you're going to run out of light. There are going to be times where you don't have power. You're going to have contingencies for water if your business uses water in any way. You're going to have contingencies for the internet, because if there's no power, you're going to have to use MiFi's for internet. And so those are all things you're going to have to take into consideration depending on what kind of business you want to build. You're going to have some kind of upfront cost. So if it's Sierra Leone in particular and in Ghana, you have to think about, do you want to buy a generator and have to buy fuel for it? Or do you want to buy solar, which has a higher upfront cost, but lasts a little bit longer? So if you're buying if you're buying solar, you're going to have a much higher upfront cost, between $3,000 and $10,000, depending on if you want to live off the grid, or more, depending on the size of your business and where you are. Or do you want to buy a generator, which is about $2,000? Like the bigger ones that are a little bit more quieter, that can power a bigger business. But the refueling that generator is going to be your issue, especially when there's a fuel shortage. So you're going to have so many contingencies in place when it comes to running a business. I think you and I should probably have a direct one-on-one conversation. You can email me to set up some time, and we can talk about it. But I definitely would recommend you put a longer timeline on when you expect for real revenue to kick in. Okay, DR seems to think that that was a helpful response. Good, good. Um, So Barry says, we did our African ancestry DNA testing. My wife is Mende and I'm Timni. Thanks for answering my questions. Great. So you can get your citizenship in Sierra Leone. Now, this is something that I recommend that people do. I know that they decided not to do it in March. They used to do it twice a year. They used to do it in March and in November. And it was basically African ancestry um, is the only company that the Sierra Leone government recognizes as a company that can tell you your lineage and trace your lineage back to Sierra Leone. They offer citizenship to those people. It's anywhere between $4,000 and 5,000 some $100. It is pretty expensive, but there are many people in our audience, many people who I've met who've gone through this process. Some of those folks have bought land and bought houses and condos, Airbnb and businesses in Ghana. So they got their citizenship in Sierra Leone and we're going to Ghana. And some of those people have done it in Sierra Leone as well. I mean, everybody is a little different how they decide to go about doing it, but I recommend you do it if you have the finances to do it, because once you are a dual citizen, you no longer have to do visas for any other country in West Africa. And now many countries around the continent of Africa are starting to do visa-free entry for other Africans. Kenya introduced it earlier this year. If I'm not mistaken, um, Tanzania is introducing it. If I'm not mistaken, I think Uganda is talking about introducing it. There are many countries. Seychelles has already introduced it. So there are visa-free countries in Africa for other African visas. I mean, for other African passports. And so we plan to see. We expect that that's going to happen more and more over time. So Marissa Walker says, do you have to be an ancestry? Oh, okay. Do you have to have Sierra Leone ancestry to be a citizen in Sierra Leone? You don't, but in order to accelerate the process, yes. So Sierra Leone has a citizenship process like many other countries, but I know a Ghanaian trying to get his citizenship in Sierra Leone, and it's taking a long time. I also know a white American who is married to a family member of mine who has not been given citizenship as of yet. And so, it can take some time to get citizenship in Sierra Leone if you do not have direct lineage tied to Sierra Leone. So yes, that is a thing for sure. Good questions. Good questions. We're at 53 minutes. I didn't even expect to go this long today. I thought this was going to be a short one. We'll go the full hour. We'll give it 7 more minutes. If you guys have more questions, more than happy to answer your questions. Let me see if I miss any questions from any of the other platforms. Okay, that's me. Cheryl says I'm in Baton Rouge because I had mentioned it. She also said I should do an ebook. It's on the way. Trust me, ebook is coming. Ebook, course, consulting's already available, but the ebook and the course are coming on moving to Sierra Leone, moving to Ghana, starting a business, all of that. Those are all coming. There'll be courses along the way, but of course, in order to do that, finances were needed because I need to outsource some of the background work that is going to be required to get this stuff done. I'm going to record videos. I need people to edit those videos. I need people to do all the different things, upload it to, I need to pay for hosting, all of that. I need to figure out what systems I'm going to use. Like all of that costs money and time. And so being here in these United States allow me to be better equipped to be able to do those things to help you guys out. Okay, let's see. Is there any other questions? Barry says, great advice, great information, great show, respect. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm glad you feel that way. That is always the goal, that you feel that it's good information and it is helpful. Shout out to the folks joining from Twitter. You know, I'm noticing that every week now we got a couple folks joining from Twitter now, and even folks that join from my personal YouTube page, which eventually I think I'm going to start doing more content about, specifically like my life in general, not just pertaining to everything happening in Africa when I do my own personal YouTube channel. That's something that I'll go live and just always be going live on that channel. Eventually I'll do content separate for that channel. If you go back, I've had content there since 2010. If you want to see 25-year-old Joe with locks during the financial crisis, just go watch those videos from my old channel. You'll get a kick out of it for sure. I realize I probably should have just expanded on the original channel with this one, renamed it, but you know, I got advice from different people who told me I should do a brand new channel, and I shouldn't have. But either way, I'm glad I did though, because you know, this channel is not just about me. It's about anyone who's deciding to make the move, or who has made the move. All right, I said I was gonna go for the full hour, but it doesn't seem like there are any more questions. And so I think if you've made it this far, there's a couple things though that you do need to hear. All right, if you made it this far, there are a couple things that you do need to hear before you go. Before you go. Number one, if you want to promote your brand, if you have a brand that supports Africa, Africans, people from the African lineage and diaspora, and you want to promote your business on my platform, the link is in the description. The link is in my profile. You can email me at the email that's scrolling across the screen. If you need help, if you want to consult with me, if you want me to sit down with you and talk to you about your social media platform and what you're doing and what you can do to grow it, I'm over 500,000 followers across all platforms. I currently reach just around 7 million people per month with the posts and the content that I do. So I feel now I am qualified to help people understand what it takes to build a platform. So if you want, I can sit down with you and give you individual advice about your brand if you fall into those categories I just discussed. In addition to that, if you want consultation on a business idea or moving to the continent of Africa, real estate, any of those things, I can do that as well. Specifically, Ghana and Sierra Leone is where I have the most insight and information. So definitely, if you have those considerations, definitely shoot me an email or click on the link in the description or in my profile. All of those will tell you how to find me for those services. Lastly, if you're planning to travel to the continent and you're looking for a good group to travel with, I've partnered with a couple of different folks, and so I can make recommendations depending on what you're looking for. And so we'll tell you where best to, who to go with and where you should go. You know, we got folks who go to Tanzania and Ghana. We have folks who go to those countries and more. We have folks that are specific to Ghana. We have folks that are specific to other countries on the continent of Africa. We got people who focus on diaspora African colonies and groups outside of the continent of Africa. If you want to go to places like Puerto Rico or Spain and go to those places where those Africans are living and adopted their own culture and live in their own grouping and tribes within these majority white countries, and you want to get their history and understand how they built their cultures the way they have, I have people that I'm partnered with that do that as well. So there are all kinds of different ways that I can assist you in your decision-making process to travel, move, invest, and buy real estate or start a business on the continent of Africa. So I'm here to help you do that. That's what I wanted to tell you before we left. If you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. When you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you're notified every time a new video comes out. you guys have really done an amazing job of getting the word out there to different people to hear about this platform. We're over 15,000 on YouTube. We're over 320,000 on Instagram. We're over 50,000 on Facebook. We're over 21,000 on TikTok. We're over 15,000 on Threads. And it's all because you guys have built this community to help us all get the word out there. And so I can't thank you enough. I appreciate all of you for doing what you guys do. And it's because of you guys I keep this thing going every single week without fail. And so with that, guys, I want to thank you all once again for watching. Thank you to the new folks who joined. Shout out to you guys who getting a chance to see the live for the first time. Go back and watch some of the other videos. You'll get a ton more insight and information as to why I moved back and what I recommend you do if you're planning to move. And so with that, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.